when the estrogen is going up and down, and definitely post-menopause. And then they can become more dry. They don't have the resiliency, the elasticity, the moisture. And when those tissues thin, vaginal estrogen, how much do you need? Hi, I'm Dr. Valorie Davidson from the Progress Your Health podcast.
I'm Dr. Maki from the Progress Your Health podcast. So this topic comes up all the time. It's all over the interwebs, but yet nonetheless, there's always something to learn. So why don't we kind of dive into what and how to use vaginal estrogen?
So vaginal estrogen we've used with patients since 2004. It's a great way to add estrogen to those tissues, especially in late perimenopause when the estrogen is going up and down, and also in menopause and definitely post-menopause, because those tissues don't have the estrogen and then they can become more dry. They don't have the resiliency, the elasticity, the moisture. And when those tissues thin, just because we're nerdy and I love the science, is the tissues can't release glycogen, which is the fuel source or the food for the lactobacillus or the lactobacillus species that predominate the vaginal vault. So the vaginal microbiome, yes, it has its own microbiome, just like a gut microbiome, but the vaginal microbiome loves this lactobacillus species, and that keeps the pH nice and low, more acidic, so it can prevent, different infections, which we'll go into in another podcast. But when that lactobacillus species goes down, the pH changes, the tissues start to get really thin, you don't have that resiliency, and then you can have pain with intercourse. You can even have pain and chapping just going for a walk or working out.
Well, now this is, like I said, something that is, when we started in practice a long time ago, this really never got talked about. It seems pretty obvious for you and I, but now talking about vaginal estrogen is everywhere, okay, which is good. It really needs to be. It's sort
I
of
know we always had to bring, like in a patient consult, I remember you two would always have to, we'd bring it up. Are you having vaginal dryness? Oh, yeah, I am.
Well, me talking to a female patient, it was always a little bit awkward, but then I realized that they all wanted to ask it. They were just a little bit, at least to me anyways, they tell you everything, but they're a little bit apprehensive, and rightly so. But then once we talked about it, then it's, then it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, we got this. Yeah, we can absolutely take care of that, because vaginal estrogen can be really safe and extremely effective for vaginal dryness from, GSM, genitourinary syndrome of menopause.
Yeah, so today we're just talking about the genital side, the vagina side. The next episode, we're going to talk about the urinary side of it, because it does, one solution actually does cover a lot of bases. Now, we just did one on estriol for the face, which you can find the link up here somewhere. So they all three sort of go together. And the best part about that is, now that one was about estriol. You can use that estriol for basically all three things. You're using basically one prescription for three different solutions.
Well, of course, if you're going to use any kind of estrogen vaginally, you're going to want to use a nice, safe base that's not going to irritate the tissues, like a Versa base. Now, when you're using vaginal estrogen, there's vaginal estradiol, so E2, that's the strongest estrogen. And then there's also, you can use it vaginally as estriol, which is E3, which is very gentle. Typically, I probably use more estriol with patients for vaginal dryness than estradiol, because you have a little more versatility. You can increase up the dose really well, because estriol is very gentle. It doesn't have as much of an effect on thickening the endometrial or uterine lining like estradiol does. Now, estradiol, when you're applying it vaginally, you might use it 1 to 3 times a week. It's going to be very minimal what's going to go into the bloodstream as long as you're using a particular dose. But when you're using the estriol, you can go a little bit higher, which I'll go into a little bit more when we talk about the urinary tract. But with vaginal dryness, we can kind of separate them. So if you're going to use estradiol, which is more easily accessible for most people in our country, in the United States, it's easier to get. It's probably a little bit more affordable than estriol, but it can be effective, but you want to definitely use a very low dose vaginally. In my practice, I've been doing this since 2004, is I have had people use too much vaginal estradiol. I've tested their blood, and it shows up in their bloodstream even if they're not taking any HRT systemically. So it can go into your bloodstream depending on what dose it is. Now with the estradiol, I'll use more like maybe 0.5 milligrams. That's a pretty good dose, 1 to 3 times a week. as long as they're not having any spotting and they're getting, positive results on that. Now with the estriol, I have a little bit more versatility with it. I'll actually go up a lot higher with estriol, even go up anywhere between, 2 milligrams, 1 to 3 times a week of estriol vaginally, even up to 5 with some women.
Yeah. Now, you certainly got to talk to your practitioners. Don't just use those doses on
This
your
is not
own.
for medical advice. What our attorneys say? Not for medical advice, education.
We're just for educational purposes.
We want to help.
Because this is where where the rubber meets the road, and what everyone's sort of wondering about. And they are two different hormones, so they have to be sort of used. I mean, technically, they're both estrogen, right? But especially on a vaginal application, they're going to have different effects. And that's all we're trying to do. So we prefer to use estriol, but we know estradiol is a lot more, like you said, a lot more accessible. This is just a way to kind of decide. You got access to a good compounding pharmacy. Every compounding pharmacy is going to have a vaginal formulation for estriol. Pretty much every one of them.
I do like both. I think, if your only option is maybe using the estradiol, absolutely. That can definitely help with the vaginal dryness. With the estriol and the estradiol, a lot of women will say, well, if I insert that vaginally, do I insert it or do I put it around the opening of the vaginal vault? Now, you can do both. So that's where it comes down to the actual individual. If you're having a lot of atrophy, like some women I've had, they can't even have penetration with their vaginally. So we might go a little more frequently and do a little bit of a higher dose. If somebody's having, just more dry, and I'll usually have them put it around the opening of the vaginal canal, and later as they're able to have a little bit more resiliency with that vaginal vault, then we can insert it. So if someone's having more atrophy, I definitely like the vaginal application of whether it's estradiol or estriol. Now, if they're just having some dryness, maybe some chapping, but not really any super pain with intercourse, then I might just have them just apply it to the vaginal opening, this one big mucous membrane, and then it'll matriculate throughout the entire vaginal vault. I do say if you're going to apply vaginal estrogen, but it can be really great for that microbiome, is put it on at night, just because it can be a little messy. Put it on at night, have a little panty liner, and also while you're sleeping, then it can really permeate into those tissues.
I mean, honestly, this is something that women, even in their late 30s, can even start using because, even after pregnancy, things like that, where maybe intercourse maybe is a little bit more painful, which can be a very often first sign or first symptom of perimenopause. You don't really feel much different, or maybe you start to notice a couple of things all of a sudden now. It can be easily used very safely and gently at those younger ages, all the way through as a woman is transitioning into menopause and then the postmenopause.
Now, for a perimenopausal female, now this is just in my clinical experience, is I may only use estriol vaginally with them, just because in some women that I come across in perimenopause, they have these huge spikes in estradiol and they go down, and I don't want anything to really mess with their levels of their own levels of estradiol that they're making. I know those really low doses of estrogen vaginally or estradiol vaginally can be very minimal, but I'm just really anal and really particular about, people's doses. Same with, I started practicing in 2004, that was when a lot of practitioners were not happy with me giving HRT to women, but I'm like, these women need their hormones.
Oh, yeah.
Hormones are what keep us youthful and healthy and prevent long-term disease and chronic illnesses. Is women need their hormones. It needs to be done right, of course, but so I would even have, just for transparency here, women with, that have had cancer, is I would use, and they would have terrible vaginal dryness. And it was very painful for intimacy and whatnot, I would use estriol because I felt like estriol is very safe. There are other practitioners or oncologists who were semi-okay with that because it wasn't estradiol. But that's where I was kind of, I started off using more estriol, E3, using it vaginally, and I've had really great effects with it. But the estradiol vaginally being available as estradiol, because it can be more available for women in this country, I do think it's, both can be very effective.
Yeah. Well, you just need a little bit of a distinction there. And maybe, like you said, a little bit, different dosing for those two applications. Anything else you want to say about this?
See, I wrote a couple of little notes down to make sure I didn't miss it. Yeah, the dosing, where to put it, the base, and how often. I do get questions from patients about their male partners, about it getting, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, if it, hey, I applied my vaginal estrogen and spontaneously we had intercourse. Their male partners might say, oh my goodness, is this bad for me? Is something going to happen? No, either way, nothing bad is going to happen to their male partner. Some of that estrogen that you inserted vaginally may have been, might have not gotten absorbed. So you might want to just do a second dose that night, but it's really okay in that respect. So,
Men are terrified of any tiny little smudge of estrogen. They'll be fine. Yeah, that's not going to hurt them. The kind of doses that women are using, especially in such a localized area, aren't going to really affect the men whatsoever. Now, if a man's using a transdermal testosterone cream, that's a whole nother story, which we talked about that on a couple of episodes ago, testosterone one. Women, kids, and pets, they have to be worried about the men's testosterone dose, not necessarily the other way around.
no. Okay. Yeah. And I think I got through. Well, gosh, if anybody has their own experience, I'd love to hear it. Or if you have any questions or comments, please, we'd love to read them.
Yeah, write them down in the comments below. Lately, we've been getting a lot of views and a lot of comments and likes.
Try to get to them.
We do appreciate all of the attention. Keep asking questions, and we'll keep making videos for you. So until next time, I'm Dr. Maki.
And I'm Dr. Valorie.
Take care. Bye-bye.